But the hard question here is, we don't want to support zombie businesses that are going to go out anyway. But how can you ever tell which is which?
Yeah, I mean, you can't, but it's a little, that's why government isn't supposed to be choosing these sort of things. But, you know, it's way too early for all this. This is the quickest recession we've had in history. It's only been 5 months, March, April, May, June, now July. The 2001 recession was 7 months. The last recession, the Great Recession, was 18 months. It's way too early to stop supporting, quote unquote, the economy when you have the unemployment rate higher now than it was in the entire last recession. So all these arguments are all to the good. I think it's just a little premature, at least by a few months.
Yeah, I take the point that if we have too many hotels, if we have too much airline capacity, ultimately the market will determine what happens there. But right now, with 25 million people unemployed or thereabouts, I don't know the final number. Steve, I'm sure does. It would seem a hard time to add to those unemployment rolls. Steve, any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris slightly misconstrues the question, if I might. The question is not to continue to support the economy. The question is how in the most efficient way. And I don't really want to argue for this point because I generally agree with Chris, but I do want to frame the debate correctly. And the debate is, at what point do you make a pivot and decide that the aid of the government is no longer useful, keeping alive those businesses that need to be pared down and resources reallocated to other parts of the economy, help the workers, but not necessarily the companies. And I just want to say, Tyler, from a personal point of view, I know I'm talking generically about businesses, and there is the sweat and the toil of individual small businesses in those franchises they've created. But it may just be there are too many hotels, there are too many restaurants, given what people are going to do in this post-pandemic era. And I don't know the answer to it, but my thoughts are, how do you require people to put up more equity, take more personal risk in a given government loan that may show, hey, you've got skin in the game, therefore the government is willing to help you in that regard.
Yeah, not to pick on Applebee's, but how many Applebee's does America need? How many Marriott hotels? How many whatever? Chris, you want to respond to what Steve just said?
Yeah, it's interesting. All those remarks sound fine with me in terms of framing the question. I still think this is just way too early, and we're forgetting about, you know, the idea for government support usually is when there's no private investment, no private spending on the part of consumers, businesses, then the government has to step in. So one of the things we're seeing, just to move off a little of what companies are doing and how many retailers and bars and restaurants we need, one thing that's being forgotten here is state and local governments. I believe in the first round, they only got about $150 billion. The Democrats in their plan a couple months ago had like $1 trillion earmarked for state and local governments. That's going to be a real problem that needs to be addressed, you know, pretty much right now.
I take it from you're saying that we're still early in this game. It's too early to pull back and put our foot on the brake a little bit. That you would support in some form continuing the emergency $600 a week in unemployment benefits, maybe not at that level, maybe for a specified number of months. Am I reading you correctly, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to drop from $600 a week for the extra federal government benefits, unemployment benefits. You don't want to go from 600 to zero. I think Fed Chair Powell said that. I mean, $600 a week, it sounds like a lot. It is in addition to what the states are giving, but it's $15 an hour. So I don't think there's that many people who are being dissuaded about not working now. There's certainly examples. I know people are more than happy to take the $600 and not go back to work. But realistically, there's no work for a lot of these people to go. I think one of the hallmarks of this recession, if this was a normal recession like the 80s or the 90s or even the Great Recession a decade ago with the financial crisis, it would be different. This is very different in terms of it's almost a humanitarian crisis, if you will, where, you know, there's a pandemic out there. People are losing their lives. And this is a very special type of recession that deserves support from the federal government and the federal government needs to enable the state and local governments to support the economy as well.